Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. So the I don't know how big it is, but news over the weekend was, Tom Price resigned. And I knew it was going to happen. No surprise here. None at all. You cannot cost taxpayers hundreds of thousands of dollars or whatever amount of money he spent on these private planes and expect to keep your job in the Trump administration. Trump is a blue-collar billionaire. He has the big jet. People know it. If you're part of the Trump organization as a business, I'm sure he'll shuttle you around. He's done it before. As the president of the United States, he has a fiduciary responsibility to the taxpayers. So he's got Air Force One, which, by the way, he's already saved us money on Air Force One, and he has to use that. But as far as everybody else is concerned, you got to take a commercial airline. You are not royalty. And I love this about this guy. When I heard that Tom Price partook in lavish travel as head of HHS, that's Health and Human Services for you leftists that know nothing about government, I knew shortly thereafter that he would hear those two words that made Donald Trump famous on The Apprentice: "You're fired." I know it's technically three words because it's a contraction, but you get what I'm saying. If you're going to drain the swamp, folks, your staff must set the example. We call it level setting in business. You come into a new organization, Kevin, this is your team, this is that and the other. You have a meeting, you say, guys, let me explain the ground rules. Don't know who was before me, don't know who might come after me, but I'm the man. I'm the El Jefe, the HNIC, that's the head Negro in charge. So let me explain my rules. 1, you will be here on time and you will obey the 3 ups. Get up, show up, and follow up. That's rule number 1. Rule number 2, we will all respect one another. Now, I don't know your jobs yet. I'm going to figure that out. But here's what I'll tell you. I'll respect you until you no longer deserve it. And as long as you're on this team, if I hear of you bad-mouthing any team member here or abroad, you are gone. If you're on this team, you deserve it. You need to be here. Now, I'm going to make an evaluation of who is going to be here, who gets to stay. But if you make this team, you are part of this family. And I will go down. I will go to bat for you no matter what. I will go to bat for you with my boss. I'll go to bat for you with a client. But you will earn that if you make this team. Everybody good? Those are the rules. We've level set. Those rules apply to me. If you don't deserve to be on this team, I won't badmouth you. I'll just let you go. Now, I won't do it willy-nilly. I'll say, hey, look, you're not living up to the standards of this team. Here's what we do. Here's how we perform. Blah, blah, blah. So let me give you a good example. My son's playing baseball the other day. They get up on this team 10-1. Easy game. They've used one pitcher in the first inning, a pitcher in the second inning. They've used one pitcher per inning, and they've used their best pitchers. And there are rules. My son's a catcher. He can't pitch if he catches a certain amount of time. So they couldn't use he's one of the better pitchers. Can't use him. So I go to the coach and I say, why are you taking these kids out after one inning? The first inning, they scored nothing. Second inning, he puts a kid in, they scored 1 run. Third inning, he puts a new kid in, they score 0 runs, etc. And I go, why are you doing this? And he goes, well, I want all the kids to pitch. And I go, all the kids don't need to pitch. We had just enough players to play. And some of these kids just cannot play the game. They're learning the game. But he's like, no, they've been bugging me to pitch. And I go, look, I get that. But they also want to win. And they understand baseball. These kids they send a group to the national baseball thing every year at Chandler National. So I go, these kids know baseball. They know who the better players are. And you're going to run out of pitchers. And pretty soon you're going to be throwing in kids that have never pitched. And you're winning. You need to put this game away, blah, blah, blah. So the coach is like, feel good, feel good, feel good. And what happens in the 4th or the 5th, whatever, I think it was the 4th inning, other team comes up. They bring in a kid because they're out of pitchers. They bring in a kid who's never pitched, but he wants to pitch, and they want to make him feel good. The team scores 10 runs. It ends up being 11 to 10. So now the team is losing, and the kids are upset. And he's telling me, well, none of these scores don't count, and it's fall ball. These scores don't count. I said, let me explain something to you, buddy. I don't know what these other kids think, but my son, the score counts. He wants to win. He understands the game. If he's not the best pitcher, get him out. If he's not the best shortstop, get him out. Let's win the game. We're all playing. It isn't like you got 4 kids sitting on the bench and we're saying don't play the fat kid or don't play the little girly kid that can't catch or pick up a ground ball. All the kids are playing. So you've satisfied the parents. And the parents, by the way, in the audience were mad. What are you doing, you knucklehead? Worst game ever. So they get up. There's 2 outs, 1 kid on base. I think he's on first base. My son's a potential third out. He gets up. He's got 2 strikes on him. He looks at me and he says to me, "Dad, I don't want to be the third out." And you know what I told him? I said, "Then don't be." He gets up, smacks the crap out of the ball to the fence. The guy on the base scores. Game is tied. He ends up with a double, I believe. So luckily for him, the batter coming up next is one of the better hitters. My son's also one of the better hitters. And this kid performs, boom, knocks it right up the middle. My son scores. This team erupts. You'd think they won the championship. I go over, the coaches are like, what are you upset about? Because I've got obviously irritated because I'm keeping score. I said, I'm upset that you guys almost let this team win. And, well, it doesn't matter. I go, let me explain something to you yet again. It does matter. It doesn't matter to you that it's fall ball, that these kids all need to play, blah, blah, blah. These kids want to win over the idea that you need to placate them, and that's your lesson. I said, until you learn that lesson, I may not let my son come play again. Now, I'm off topic. But it all fits in. Donald Trump is saying to Tom Price, look, you got to be a team player, but we got to win. And all these guys, almost all of Trump's staff took massive pay cuts to become part of the Trump administration. They were powerful men and women in their own right. And many of these men and women Trump wouldn't have minded working for if the circumstances were different. If one of these guys, say Rex Tillerson, had become president and he offered Trump VP or something, Donald Trump might have felt, like, hey, this is a good thing. I'll work for Tillerson. So they're accomplished people, multimillionaires and billionaires. And each of them, Trump tasked them in their area of government to reduce the budget, and most of them have complied and done that. And then the news of Tom Price hits, where he's taking these private flights, private jets. These are not things that ordinary citizens do. And then Price comes out and says, all of my political career, I've fought for the taxpayer. It's clear to me that this is the case. I was not sensitive enough to my own concern for the taxpayer. I know as well as anyone that the American people want to know that their hard-earned dollars are being spent wisely by government officials. And then he said, I'll pay it back out of my own pay. Well, too little, too late. He said he would make amends. Write a personal check to the Treasury. Good for you, man. But who cares? The biggest mistake was this. He can't discuss our hard-earned dollars and spend them so readily. But if he were to have any chance of surviving this onslaught, the first thing he shouldn't have done is he shouldn't have apologized. Price could have said, I took the most expedient flights available with the idea that I would reimburse the taxpayers, and I have. Because you can never apologize to the left. See, I'm not telling you that there's any way out for this, and because it was done. And I don't know the travel arrangement that these people make. I've never been that, fortunate, or if you want to call it that, to have access to a private jet versus commercial airline. But I'll tell you this, the perception can't be that government officials are traveling better, doing better, etc., than other people. Trump is saying to everybody in the country, all of us are taking a hit. Trump donates his salary. Every person that I've seen on that cabinet makes far less money, and I would venture to tell you the majority of them are donating their salaries back to the Treasury or to charities of their choice. I don't know. Good, because you got to take the salary. Excuse me. At least that's what I'm told. So he expects everybody you're going to show the federal government and the taxpayers that we will not succumb to what happened with the Obama administration and all these other administrations. So anyway, he shouldn't have done that. And the ironic part of this is Robert Mueller, Eric Holder, they did this. Countless leftists have done this sort of thing. At one point, Pelosi flew the government jet so often they practically named the airline after her. And I remember this. It was in 2007. She was found to have requested military aircraft for multitude of trips. and had the gall, believe it or not, to insist on a larger plane and military escorts. Utter disregard for commercial airlines. And so Judicial Watch's Tom Fitton, he's a guy that sues a lot on our behalf, he published the documents of her travel request, and then he commented, Pelosi treats Air Force like it's her personal airline. And I remember that report. And for those who want to compare the travel of Trump's staff versus Obama, CNN actually did the work for you. And surprisingly, the fake news outlet told the truth and said Trump's administration has approved fewer military flights by cabinet members than Obama had at the same point. So Price resigned, and Donald Trump sent out a message. The private sector is better than the public sector because it costs a lot more money to fly, and that's what the point he was making. Good for him.
Kevin Jackson
on the Black Sphere Radio Network.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.